Arthur, how about that LSU win over Ole Miss? Ole Mid, huh? All right. Well, here we go. I'm Ruddy Rutledge, and this here is some Bayou football. Sup? Welcome all to episode 5 of the Bayou Football video podcast. I am Ruddy Rutledge, and he is the main character, Arthur the Bayou Party Dog. We're talking lots of LSU football today after that big win over Ole Miss, but it's on to the next one now. And we're also talking the little New Orleans Saints, which is getting harder and harder to do. So, let's get up in it. The LSU Tigers scored a huge 29-26 overtime win over the Ole Miss Rebels last weekend. And that took place with the eyes of college football fixed on the grand spectacle that is Saturday night in Tiger Stadium. Wasn't pretty in the first half for LSU. Ole Miss blew opportunities to score. The Rebels had the Tigers by the throat for most of the first half. But they couldn't land that big haymaker, that big blow that would have knocked the crowd out of the game. Instead, LSU hung around in the fourth quarter and took care of business in overtime. Big win for the program, but more specifically, this was a big win for the 2024 version of the LSU Tigers. After losing that season opener to USC in Vegas, this team has basically been slogging through the mud against the likes of Nicholls State, South Carolina, that was a tough one, and UCLA. Improved performance against South Alabama, but what this Ole Miss win did for LSU was this provided the Tigers with something that they needed the most at this point in the season, and that's a signature win, which any team that gets into that playoff is going to need. But the Tiger defense was the big story here. Hats off to defensive coordinator Blake Baker. Tip of the cap to you, sir. Things started out terrifyingly bad, like I said. LSU was basically just dodging bullets from Ole Miss to start the game. But boy, did the Tigers hunker down, and they reared back and came after Jackson Dart in that second half. They looked well-conditioned. They looked well-coached. And they were relentless. Everybody likes to throw around the term beast. Oh, he's a beast. Oh, they're in beast mode now. Yeah. Well, LSU linebacker Whit Weeks, that man is starting to do what beasts do. SEC Defensive Player of the Week for his efforts. Braden Swinson coming off the edge is a monster. We knew that already. But the rest of this LSU defensive line is starting to get rather salty. Defensive backfield, still a work in progress, but they did come up with some big plays in the second half against Ole Miss. Zy Alexander particularly stepped up in a big way. On offense, Will Campbell and LSU's offensive line held their own in pass pro against a ferocious Ole Miss defensive front. Running game, not so well. LSU struggled to run the game. Tough sledding there when they tried to do it. At quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, he rarely gets touched with Campbell and those guys blocking for him, but he was off his mark in the first half. Very inaccurate, off timing-wise, and offensive coordinator Joe Sloan did not exactly help him much with his play calling. It got so bad at a certain point that I started to question whether Sloan is cut out for the role. I mean, it could have just been mid-game overreaction. Still not sure, though. Run the ball, dude. Run the ball. So the play calling was suspect, but Nussmeier recovered in a big way in the second half, delivered a truly clutch performance, fourth quarter and overtime, threw a magical touchdown throw to Aaron Anderson that enabled LSU to tie the game at the end of regulation. And, of course, his 25-yard game-winning touchdown throw to Kyron Lacey in overtime. Well, the visuals of that throw with the Ole Miss DB falling down, legs flying up in the air, Lacey effortlessly pulling the ball in. The visuals of that throw and catch is going to be artwork, paintings, prints, murals. It's going to be hanging up in man caves across the state soon enough. But, so overall, LSU... What? What's... All right, go ahead. He's hungry. He says he's hungry. He's not really going to eat anything, y'all. He's got a big bowl of room temperature light beer he keeps in the kitchen in there, and he uses it to keep his mind limber creatively. Helps keep his creative juices flowing. Only when we're recording, so he'll be back. He'll be back for the show's over. Moving along. The great cyclist Greg LeMond once said, the great American cyclist Greg LeMond once said, "It doesn't get easier, you just go faster." That quote can be applied to LSU's next challenge, which comes Saturday night in the form of the Arkansas Razorbacks in Fayetteville. Yes, Tiger fans, I am pronouncing that properly with proper Arkansan dialect. Fayetteville. Arkansas was supposed to be a bottom feeder this season, at least according to the geeks in the media, and as usual, those nerds are right about as often as Arkansas coach Sam Pittman passes on taters and gravy. Now, I like Coach Pittman. I'm a fan of his. He is a breath of fresh air compared to the Lane Kiffins of the sport. There's no faking injuries, no dunking stupid basketballs on sideline goals. Point being, though, the media nerds were wrong about Arkansas. They are a decent football team. At least they're a very dangerous team, as evidenced by their upset win over Tennessee last time out. And Pittman's tenure in Fayetteville, which looked like it was on life support already before the season started, has received a shot in the arm thanks to his offensive coordinator, Bobby Petrino. Yes, that same Bobby Petrino who led the Hogs as their head coach to multiple winning seasons over a decade ago. You may know him better as Arkansas women's volleyball enthusiast Bobby Petrino, or motorcycle enthusiast Bobby Petrino. But Petrino's offense presents another big challenge to Blake Baker and the Tiger defense. But after watching this defense grow up and improve leaps and bounds over the course of that Ole Miss game before our very eyes, I think the Tigers are up to the challenge. Like I said, that D-line is getting salty. On the other side of the ball, as I stated earlier, Joe Sloan has to call a better game. He's got to utilize the running game better, or utilize it more, I should say, as in remember that you're allowed to do it. You have Caden Durham. He's a breakaway running back. Use him. Help take some of the pressure off Nussmeier's arm. LSU Tiger balls and ballettes, get ready. The Hogs are coming off a bye after that big upset win over Tennessee. And this is probably going to be another war. So get ready for a long, late night of college football in Fayetteville. But I am once again predicting a close LSU victory, this time on the road. Tigers 27, Hogs 23. Now, I'd like to take this time to acknowledge a bit of an unsung aspect of LSU's big win over Ole Miss, and that is the Tigers' conditioning. They never looked tired over the course of a 4-hour marathon overtime game. In fact, they looked like they were getting stronger as the game wore on. Ole Miss, meanwhile, sucking air at the end of the first half and at the end of the fourth quarter and during the overtime period. LSU, meanwhile, looked comfortable out there when the going got tough. Cool as a cucumber, fit as a fiddle. And the credit goes to LSU's strength and conditioning coach, Jake Flint. His official title is Director of Athletic Development. And the rest of the strength and conditioning staff deserve credit as well. And also credit to head coach Brian Kelly for bringing Flint to Baton Rouge from Notre Dame when he arrived in 2022. When Kelly first got to LSU, he immediately fired LSU's longtime strength coach, the beloved, revered Tommy Moffitt, who's basically a legend at LSU. Moffitt was brought to Baton Rouge by Nick Saban way back in 2000, and he rejected Saban's offer to join him at Bama in 2007 when Nicky came back to the SEC. Moffitt has been at LSU for the entirety of the Les Miles and Ed Orgeron regimes. But sometimes you just need to change. And that can be said for a lot of things in life. Change, if for no other reason than for the sake of it. When Kelly first arrived, he realized this. He overhauled every aspect of this program from the ground up. Practices, nutrition, recovery, and strength and conditioning. Because he knew this program needed a fresh coat of paint. This program was starved for an overhaul like this. So Kelly brought his strength and conditioning coach from Notre Dame, Flint, down to Baton Rouge. And after witnessing LSU's impressive physical conditioning against Ole Miss, I couldn't help but think back to the media backlash when Kelly fired Moffitt, the highly respected Moffitt. But the coach trusted his judgment, and here we are. This LSU team is prepared to line up and go for as long as it takes. And we saw that in both the Ole Miss and the South Carolina game. These Tigers don't quit when they're tired. They quit when they're done. And I just felt this aspect of the game, within the game, needed to be recognized, and Jake, Flint, and staff needed to be given their proper due. And for those of you with a soft spot for the familiar, just know Moffitt landed on his feet as he's now the strength coach at Texas 8-4. He's back. The star is back. And now on to the New Orleans Saints. Last week I was basically thanking the Saints for those first two games of the season. Blowout dominant wins over the Panthers and the Cowboys before the wig got snatched off. And now they're suffering 4 straight losses. I said it was fun while it lasted, etc., etc. But after this 4th straight loss, I am angry with this team for giving the fans a false sense of hope. There was never any hope for this team. Sunday, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers dominated the Saints 51-27. 50 points on Dennis Allen's defense. A 50 burger. And defense is the head coach's area of expertise. And they look like garbage. 277 rushing yards given up to Tampa Bay. Missed tackles. Missed assignments. Just looked like they quit out there. Garbage. Offensively, started rookie quarterback Spencer Rattler in place of the injured Derek Carr. There was some good, there was some bad. Kid's clearly talented, but playing behind a decimated offensive line like this, basically running for his life every other play, it's hard to fully gauge his performance. So, you know what, Arthur? Right now, at this moment, I'm going to put this recording on hold. The Saints, as we speak, this won't affect any viewers, won't affect your watching experience, but the Saints, as we speak, as we record right now, are getting ready to host their former coach, Sean Payton, and the Denver Broncos in the Superdome on Thursday Night Football. So I'm going to pause this recording and put it on hold, watch the game, and then we're going to come back here after the game and finish the show. But I'll just say this. When we come back, if I'm talking about the Saints winning this game, well then miracles really do come true, Arthur. They're about as banged up a team as I have ever seen in the NFL. Multiple offensive linemen out again. Quarterback Derek Carr out. Taysom Hill out. Wide receiver 1 Chris Olave out. Wide receiver 2, Rashid Shaheed, out for the season. And the list goes on and on and on. So, tough game coming up here. I don't see a point in continuing this review of last week's game and then reviewing last week's game and then previewing this one before they even play right here, right before they play. So, we're going to come back right after the game's over. Also, shout out to the great Drew Brees, who's being inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame tonight. So, who dat, stick around, and we'll see y'all on the flip side. Final tonight from the Superdome. Denver Broncos 33, New Orleans Saints 10. So, Sean Payton comes in to the Superdome and dismantles the Saints on Drew Brees' Saints Hall of Fame induction night. What a pathetic excuse for a professional football team the Saints looked like tonight. Injuries, whatever, easy excuse. This team has quit on Dennis Allen. Quit! I mean, this was just pathetic. There's no life out there. There's no effort. There's no fight. I mean, I knew this would be bad, but I knew the Saints were up against it. But I didn't think it'd be this bad. 33-10? This team has completely quit on Dennis Allen. Did I mention that already? Just looking at the stats, they don't even tell the story. A firing tomorrow morning of this head coach would not be out of line. If for nothing else, then for these guys to hear a different voice in the locker room. Because they've quit. Shake it up. 5 straight losses. I just listened for a few minutes to Dennis Allen's post-game press conference. And I just have to say, so that is what a defeated man sounds like. It's sad, but he sounded truly defeated. He was stuttering. He spoke with no confidence. His voice was cracking. I mean, he didn't speak like a leader. But then again, when has Dennis Allen ever spoken like a leader? No. I just know things can't continue like this for the rest of the season. 84 points given up in the last 2 games. Cam Jordan's done. Chase Young is horrible. The offense was atrocious tonight. Injuries. You can't blame it all on injuries. They don't even look like professionals out there. No, they have quit. The Saints quit tonight. And being that it's late, Arthur, we're going to quit too. What do you say? What, Arthur? Okay, yeah. Yeah, my shirt's dirty, okay? I was wearing this shirt this afternoon, took it off for the game, threw it back in the dryer before we came out here. So, I mean, I still dress better than Kalen DeBoer, don't I? Bama's coach. I mean, I'm not going to show up to an SEC football game looking like I'm here to pump the septic tank. But anyway, that's all we got tonight. I'm Ruddy Rutledge for Arthur the Bayou Party Dog. He is a real good boy, and this is some Bayou football.